What's up, guys? The second deload workout of my deload week. This is a absolutely tremendous advanced InstaThot workout. So 7 exercises in the circuit today. The first one being freehand jump squats. And pretty much everything that we're doing, again, 6 sets, 15 reps. It was hot as hell in that gym today, so you gotta do what you gotta do, but whenever the gym's 24.5 degrees, you gotta strip down. And trying to do all the exercises in order here, so you're gonna see some miraculous seeming clothing changes. But the way I set it up is you got 3 or 4 exercises for lower body, and then same for the upper body, depending on, one of the exercises is burpees, so I mean that's more or less a full body sort of thing. So after the freehand jump squats, doing 1 leg push-ups here. And again, this isn't a week where I'm going to be pushing to failure, trying to, force or elicit muscle growth. It's just something to keep most major muscle groups activated. Make sure that, I'm not going to lose any sort of motor movement patterns. Just trying to stay in the groove. Obviously, caloric expenditure, considering that I still want to keep at a certain weight. Not that I am necessarily what you would be calling prepping right now. So I'm trying to maintain my weight. This is more or less a diet break for me. So my plan is to get back at 14 weeks out, which is about 4.5 weeks from now, at about the same weight. So this morning, the day that I shot this, I'm recording 1 day ahead. I was 168.1, and I want to stay around 170 and hit 14 weeks out at 170 this time. Obviously, and it's a great shot right there, absolutely tremendous. Obviously, if you were following the first 5 weeks of my prep, it was a hugely successful first phase of the prep. Kind of uncovered a lot of new tissue that I was actually surprised that I even had under the initial 12 or 13 pounds. And now what I'm my perspective on it is this postponement of the show is kind of a blessing in disguise. So, of course, initially, I was like, another 5 weeks of dieting? I don't even know if I really want to do that. And I was also, I was a little confused of what my next move would be. I didn't want to, just throw away this progress and bounce back up to 175 or 180 and just start prepping again all over at probably 18 weeks out or 16 weeks out. I wanted to kind of keep things with the same structure, but I didn't want to, just keep chipping away in case, I get to 9 weeks out, or what would have been 9 weeks out, and they postpone it another 5 weeks. So who knows? It's really up in the air. You take the good with the bad. You always try to see the positive side of things if you're that kind of person, in which I am. And this allows me to reassess my physique. Obviously, and it wasn't a surprise to me or anyone, I was way ahead of schedule. My legs are always going to be a strong point. I'll put them up against any lightweight in Canada that's a natural bodybuilder. It looks like my back will be a strength. Having said that, I haven't been on stage with my back as a strength yet, so many things could happen in the next over 18 weeks where it's not necessarily a strength. It's even last time out at Nationals, it was just kind of a neutral point. But the potential for it to be a strong point is there. Obviously, my condition will never fail. That's just how I am. It's sad to say, and it's kind of contradictory to my last point, but I would rather show up absolutely diced out, shredded, inside out, dry and hard, instead of, trying to stay full, not quite as lean, and holding on to an extra pound or two of muscle. Anyways, after the 1 leg push-ups, it's freehand jumping lunges, And then we move on to pull-ups. But yeah, this is something that pretty much anyone can do at home right now, even if you're watching this. I mean, if you had a pull-up bar, then you definitely could. But otherwise, I mean, there's nothing special about the exercise selection here. Like, it's just, for me, it's just something that targets most musculature in my back, the way that I do them, which is at a shoulder width grip. So, I mean, otherwise what you could do is you could do any sort of row to the midline of your back. You could do deadlifts even if you have a barbell but not a pull-up bar. You could do any sort of back exercise where a lot of back musculature is activated, right? Then after pull-ups, I decided I, for some reason, wanted to do burpees. And so 6 rounds of 15 burpees. And by the way, there was 2 warm-up sets before this. So 2 warm-up sets of burpees, I did 12 reps instead of 15. But I think things are going to, I'm going to come out of this ahead of even where I was. And some of you are probably saying, no, duh, you have more time to prep, so why wouldn't you be better? It's kind of like when someone intends to do their first show of the season and they weren't quite ready, and then they do another one in 4 or 6 or 8 weeks, and they show up better because they had more time to get leaner or whatever it might be. Well, for me, it's the opposite end of that spectrum. I have a tendency, and as I'm totally self-coached, and I do have people in my corner, but obviously because I'm self-coached, I do my own diet, I do my own training, take my own supplements, I do all that stuff. I have the override on all of the advice. And one thing I learned from my first show to my second, where I showed up better, was you can have too many cooks in the kitchen for a bodybuilding prep. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is, like I said before, I'm always going to err on the side of being shredded versus fuller and bigger. So even though my condition was lights out, in terms of where I should have been at 14 weeks out, I was still 14 weeks out. And without a major change to my nutrition and training and probably cardio output, I would have been susceptible to burning off a little bit of muscle a little farther out than I would have liked. So as I said before in an earlier video, no matter what, if you are a natural bodybuilder, you are going to lose some muscle through a bodybuilding prep. It will come back, but temporarily you will lose some. I hadn't been even as lean as I was 14 weeks out in, probably over 18 months. And it was good to get back in the saddle. It was good to feel mentally locked in. And the bug is back. So here's what I do know. Here's what I did learn through those 5 weeks of prep. I am much better than I was my last time out. Many major muscle groups have improved. My condition will not lack. Just because I was hovering around 180 pounds for a majority of that off season, I'm not going to have any loose skin. It's not like certain parts aren't going to get lean. And that's something that I learned to an extent even the last time out. I learned that you probably don't need 18 months to make a significant change to your physique in an off season. I don't think it was like I was 12 months of off season and then all of a sudden the last 6 months it clicked. I hadn't changed anything up too radically. It was just kind of one foot after another. And I think I'm going to observe some pretty drastic on-stage improvements if the show goes on October 10th now. There's a few other things you pick up along the way, but those two are the key takeaways for me. So over this next 4 week, what comes next for me? So I already detailed what I implemented as soon as the show was postponed. I think I'm going to take this next time to really kind of break structure, because what is going to happen from 14 weeks out to I'm on stage, God willing the show still goes on, is things are going to be just as structured as before. I'm going to start at 14 weeks out much leaner than I was at my initial start at 19 weeks out. And it's going to be steady as she goes. I'm a huge proponent of making changes only when necessary in prep. And what I mean by that is, physically or physiologically, but not for mental or psychological reasons. I do believe that you are either in this or you're out. Like, you can just, like I've said before if you listen to any podcasts that I do with Leroy, or if you read any of my Instagram posts, there's just a switch that starts whenever a goal is set. And there are very few things that get in the way of that. So, and I mean very few. So you can probably count them on one hand, but it's like family emergencies, a sudden drastic financial change would change it. Something to do with one of my closest friends or something, it would have to be a drastic change to knock me off this goal. And that's just what it takes. It's discipline, it's commitment, it's determination. And quite frankly, you just say fuck everything else and it just doesn't matter. So it's very easy to decipher things that matter to you and don't whenever you set a goal and you do not let anything distract you from it. Okay, and just like last time on the previous DELOAD workout, something to activate the glutes, because your glutes are your largest major muscle group that you have. This time here, glute bridges with a barbell, and or some people call them hip thrusts, whatever you want to call them. I haven't done these in a while, and this is the next day that I'm recording this voiceover, and where that bar rests, I am bruised all over. It looks like I was playing catcher for a Major League Baseball team, and instead of using a catcher's mitt, I was trying to take balls off my inner thighs. And that's obviously going to be used against me, and whenever I run for mayor in 20 years, that's going to be pulled up, and I'm not going to get elected, but that is exactly what it looks like. After that, just something for lower back, weighted hyperextensions. So again, just 15 reps, 6 rounds once we actually put some weight on there or used a little bit of load. And that was it for this workout. This was my first InstaThot workout, and I gotta say I absolutely hated it. Especially when the gym was 24 degrees in here, and wasn't expecting it, but you just come in here and you gotta do what you gotta do. So anyways, that's it for this one, guys. I'm really looking forward to getting back to real training next week. And once I nail down the exercise selection and extend the block to however long I want, I'll set up another video update. And still another couple DELOAD workouts that we're going to do. But until next time, guys, stay safe, have fun, and good luck with whatever your pursuit is. I'll talk to you soon.